Yeah, that's a fake candle. Today I am reviewing Under the Never Sky by Veronica Rossi, and I'm going to give this book 3 out of 5 stars. Under the Never Sky takes place in a future world that is very science fiction-y like. In this world, a bunch of people live in these pods, and they believe that if they go outside of the pods they will die. And then there's also people who've never lived inside pods, and they live outside in the real world. And it is about this girl, Aria, who lives inside the pods, and some crazy stuff happens and she is not in the pods anymore, and she has to like fend for herself in the real world where she thinks she's going to die. And she meets up with this guy who has never lived inside the pods, and they hate each other because, you know, one of them's a pod person, one of them's an outside person, and they kind of both need each other for the same thing, and that's basically the story. I really dislike this story the first like 60 or 70 pages because it takes place in a future world with a whole bunch of stuff that does not exist in real life, and a lot of this fake stuff was referenced with no explanation whatsoever, and all the stuff that was happening in it was not explained either, and the stuff that was happening was because of certain futuristic things that they weren't telling us, and it really bugged me. I had no idea what was going on and what they were talking about half the time because it was not real and they weren't explaining it to me. And there was a few things that didn't even get like a real explanation until like halfway through the book. And I thought the dialogue was bad. It was just, everything was weirdly out of place, it felt like, and I really didn't like it. I was reading it with a friend though, and that's what made me push through. If I was reading it on my own, I would have stopped reading it. I would have been like, screw this book, you suck. After I got to about like page 70 or 80 or something, I started to enjoy it a little bit more, and as the story went on, I liked it more and more, and kind of like the characters grew on me more and more as well. I wasn't a huge fan of the writing style. I felt like a lot of it was just kind of short and choppy and bleh. It wasn't like awful, but there were a few parts where I was very much aware that I was reading sentences on a page instead of just kind of immersing myself in a story, if that makes sense. I felt like something that my friend said that I agreed with was that the main character, Aria, I felt like fell kind of flat for me because she obviously starts out as this person, you know, who thinks she's gonna die because she's not in the pods anymore, and like, as you would expect in a story like this, she kind of grows, but I felt like you didn't really see her grow. She was a scaredy cat little girl, and then all of a sudden she was strong and cool. And it was like, where did that come from? I also felt like some of the relationships changed really quickly. And there were a few cop-outs in the story that I can't really talk about, but I felt like it was just a lot of the stuff that happened was really easy. But other than that, it was, for the most part, an enjoyable story, and I am reading the second one right now. I'm probably just going to marathon the whole trilogy because I've already ordered the third one. I'm about halfway through the second one, and I'm liking the second one better, but everything is getting explained a lot in the second one. Way too much, and it's really bugging me. But yeah, so this series, I'm definitely not in love with it the way other people are, but it's worth picking up.